Go live. You can do it. Recording in progress. Got it. All right. We are live again. Interesting. Let me go ahead and update the live. Okay, I'm just going to keep talking while I go and update the YouTube link. So, all right, I think that has happened to us once before in history, and I think it was long enough ago that I forgot the lesson. Let's go ahead and do this. Stream. Stories. And updating 240A. And I need the link. Where's the link? There we go. And save. All right. So to the brave folks who made it through the other side on this one. All right. That's the bots are kind of interesting. I guess we're gonna have to do without the trailers on the subsequent things. I guess I'm just gonna have to talk to them and maybe play a still. Well, that's a damn shame. Yeah, I guess the copyright bots are out there. I wonder who got me. But yes, I'm playing your trade material, but because I'm doing it not on your stream, I guess that they do not like it. So anyway, well, that's okay. That's why people don't do these kinds of shows that often, and I guess I'm finding it out the hard way. But anyway, it's all good fun. So I look forward to. I look forward to dealing with the copyright strike if the bot didn't deal with me on that one. It's like, oh my God, they'll steal my monetization, or I don't know. Anyway, guys. All right. So when we were last, we were talking about the back rooms. So it was done by a 20-year-old guy. Literally, the guy cannot buy a drink right now. I think he got started doing YouTube filmmaking when he was 13. And has obviously been working on this project for the last couple of years. I hope he has a hell of a 21st birthday, because I'm impressed as hell with the whole thing. I'm going to throw some of my hard-earned money at him this weekend if it takes that long, because I saw the thing and it just looks cool. It's that kind of weird, creeping, dread dreamscape, thing. I don't know if you guys have ever had the dream where, like, some house that you've got, suddenly you just imagine it has entrances and garages and tunnels and whatever else. I never opened up this cupboard, or where's this go? I think it's playing on that same kind of sense of dread down there, except within his things. I always just find cool things in my imaginary houses, in my dreams. I imagine he found some things that were a bit worse, but anyway, so it goes. Yes, Agent Gap says, yes, you would think that they'd be happy for the free advertising, but I would not be thinking like a film executive at that point. So, hey, who am I to judge? All right, so we'll just have to. I think I'll probably just get to the point where I've got a still frame on these ones, and we'll talk over the next ones. So that's currently number 1, 2, 3 at the box office was Mandalorian. What is now number 3, and then Obsession and Backrooms. Backrooms, I think, just opened maybe just a little bit later than Obsession did. I think it's opening just not quite as strong, but it's still doing a hell of a job. And on to things that I'm looking forward to watching starting again this weekend. I think I might be spending some time this weekend at the theater, and if so, that would not break my heart at all. All right, let me just kind of cue this up on my screen so I can get this rolling. All right. Okay, and all right, we'll go with that one. All right, so I'm going to switch it over to the Hyperdeck, play a single frame on the thing, and I'm just going to not do much. I'm just going to talk over it. So I'm going to put myself on the screen after all. So Masters of the Universe. I got to admit, this is one that Mark, who works for me, is probably right up his sweet spot. Masters of the Universe, Transformers, a couple properties like that are, I don't know, Shogun Wars, etc. It's just, there's a very specific time when you're a kid where you're watching the Saturday mornings, cartoons, and they are your life. and then 5 years later, that's not your life anymore. And this is one that came in during that, right out, it was coming in right as I was leaving the Saturday morning cartoon phase and doing teen things. So I was never the big Master of the Universe guy, but the people were just a little bit younger than me. This is going to be right up your sweet spot. Interesting film. And Tim, welcome back, everyone who's found the way back. Anyway, so we're doing still frames at this point, and I'm just talking over still frames now because I don't want the screen shut down again. This one, I gotta say, as a not dyed in the wolf fan, looks not half bad. I think you have to see it, treat it for exactly what it is. Let me see, can I scrub? Let me see if I can get this into a mode where I can scrub a little bit. Let me turn off the volume on the Stream Deck. That might help. But if I go here and roll, no, it's not cooperating. Okay. But yeah, this problem is one of those things where, like, oh no, here we are. Jog. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna say, screen design, set and everything else. It looks like the live action version of the show that I would want if this was like my property. A little bit of a race swap on what's the his kind of like his sergeant at arms guy there, but honestly not bad. Was it called Master at Arms or something like that? But honestly, it looks pretty damn cool. And then here we have Skeletor. You wonder very much whether Skeletor is going to, have the presence to carry that one off, because he, of course, is the big bad on this one. But overall, it looks pretty faithful, looks pretty fun. And so if you're down with the idea of having fun at the movies and not being super serious, I think this one might be, do okay. The problem it's having right now is, well, I mean, all right, so let's give the good of it first. Was originally thought these guys are going to take an absolute bath on it. They're actually, after they saw the trailer on it, they revised the opening guesstimates upward. But they're guesstimating, and it went from 25 million projected openings to 35 million projected opening. And we'll see what it does. It was shot for 170 million, which means that they probably spent, it's probably the break even on this one's going to be pretty close to 400 million. And I don't know if people are confident it's going to make that. So that being said, if you guys are into the popcorn buckets or tankards on this one, if you watch this one over at Cinemark, I gotta say they are both absolutely fantastic collectibles looking items. I mean, the popcorn bucket, I wish I had a graphic of it queued up. It's like the entire Castle Grayskull. It looks absolutely amazing. And the tankard, although incredibly expensive, is a sight to be seen. It's like the Skeletor tankard. So if this is your jam, you may wind up dropping a bunch of change on this one regardless. So give it a go. It opens up on Friday. And like I say, I haven't seen it yet, but it doesn't look bad to me. I don't expect a ton, but it looks like it will deliver okay. All right, next up, let's have a look at, and I'm going to quietly play this one. Can I jog forward? Yes, I can. Here we have Supergirl. Supergirl is interesting because, look, we're comic people here. The idea that they've done with Supergirl is they're going to make her basically kind of a burnout, and then according to the theater, to the trailer here, it's a wait, you shot my dog, and so she's going to more or less super John Wick the rest of the movie. That's what the trailer sets up, at least. We'll see. So here are the people, and yes, they shoot her dog, and then she's, informed. But there's these people very, very far away that have the antidote, and you only have 3 days to save your dog, and then she's going to do Supergirl stuff. And a bunch of things will go boom, etc. This one is, honestly, it doesn't look that bad to me. From a basic production standpoint, here we have Lobo's Cycle. Yes, Lobo's in this movie right there. And this one, talking about popcorn containers, this one has one of the coolest looking popcorn containers because it is this motorcycle. Downside is it holds like about a quarter cup of popcorn. It if you're buying this thing and expecting to get popcorn with it, you're going to have to buy something else to actually eat popcorn, because it is pathetic on that one. On the other hand, if you think you're buying a big fluffy toy, well, it's kind of a cool big fluffy toy. But anyway, this one didn't look that bad. The problem where they're having with this one with DC is apparently it wasn't that great. Agent of Camp says Crypto was a side story. Tom King completely ripped off True Grit. Interesting. Oh, thank you. And also the character I was looking for is Man at Arms. Steve Dowser says Lobo's the no-go for me. Can't stand the character. Yeah, he's a lot. So, but it is interesting. I mean, perfect casting on Jason Momoa for that one. I mean, if you're going to cast an actual human to be, that guy, I guess him or who's the guy who played Hellboy, or like the two people that you'd maybe ever go for. But Jason Momoa is probably it. I very much wonder if I guess the person who's starring this one, I think her name is Lily Tilly Adcock, Australian actress. People who know her say she's nice, but not a known name in American cinema. And my guess is she was not particular. Ron Perlman, thank you, DA Liberty. I'm guessing that is for something that has this kind of budget, she was not super expensive. She probably was not the massive part of the budget. Like if Marvel's going to cast Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, that's going to set them back a few mil right there. My guess is she came somewhat more cheaply, but if Lobo was in the movie for 5 minutes and it was Jason Momoa as Lobo, coming off of all the things he's been in, my guess, it would not surprise me to find out later that he made more from this movie than she did. I'm not saying that's what happened, but it wouldn't surprise me just based on the relative stature of the two characters, which I'm sure feels very inequitable if that's your thing. But the problem that Disney's having, not Disney, but Warner's having on this one right now, is their own actress is Zeglering, which is to say Rachel Zegling, their own film. She's basically giving interviews to Variety and whatnot, where she's saying things that sound a little bitter and nasty and are kind of, they're becoming the story and not the movie. The movie hasn't opened yet, and people are talking about like, what did she just say that? Oh my, really? And so it's I don't know if that comes from, there was the usual, oh well, it's so stunning and brave that I'm just a woman in a superhero film. Well, of course you are. We went to see Supergirl. It's not called Superman. But I do wonder how the relative salaries of different people played into what feels like an undercurrent of bitterness, honestly, to me, as a civilian looking at this one. But then when she just starts taking like snipes at fans, even if she's talking about jerk mail she gets online, honestly, not a good look. It does not do your film any favors. And Snow White and Rachel Zegler can testify that one. This one is shaping up to be a really hard hit for them. And then the other thing that's not going to help them at all is the thing that's opening up. This one, by the way, is opening up like the day before my birthday. It's going to be a big summer movie, year for me, no matter what happens. But the thing that's going to hurt them even more than that is the thing that's opening up the Friday before, which is the next clip, if I can get to it. Okay, let me go ahead and flip to the hyperdeck. Here we are. Everyone's favorite, Toy Story. Now, let's just get this one to a scene here. Okay, and let me go and put myself back in, and I will yap for a bit. So, Toy Story 5. I'm gonna admit I was not. Yeah, I mean, Toy Story 4 was a lot for me, because at a certain point you've dealt with the whole arc of nostalgia and love for the characters, and the idea that the characters grow up and the toys are left behind, and then you actually move into the whole arc of the family is more or less gone their own ways. So I mean, I thought, okay, we've done enough Toy Story stuff right now. We've had as much tear jerky type stuff as we need. We could park this property, but no. We don't park properties. That's the modern era. We don't do that at all. No, we go back, and apparently it's only the 5th movie in 31 years. So I guess that burning it the hell out. But they went back to the drawing board and did another Toy Story movie. And I'm thinking, terrific. I need this like a hole in the head. And I looked at the trailer, and I gotta admit, I wish I could play it for you guys, and I wish that the powers that be could let me play it for you guys. But I gotta say, it turned me around on the whole thing. It feels like they have something new to say. It doesn't feel like it's just another retread of, here's a known property that, everyone knows, loves, and is certainly bankable, and we can get the kids to show up for this one. Uh, it felt like they're doing something interesting with it because the villain or the challenge for the toys in this one, obviously they're with a new kid, and she's, having crazy antics with them, and then, Mr. Knife and Spoon get married, and then, oh, but who poisoned the bride cake? So she's having all sorts of fun analog player, and then she gets a new package, and what is it? Yes, it is essentially, they call it a lily pad, but it's essentially a leap pad, and this is the proxy for, these are like the educational toys that were very big back in the day. I'm going to say I'm going to say that in this case, it was what they called a leap pad. Is the things that that were like kind of starting to make their appearance, and but amongst later on, iPads got cheaply enough that everyone's secondhand iPads became the thing that entertains the kids in the back of the store, back of the car, until whatever. So it seems like the whole question of this one is going to be how the use of technology, with the kids, how does that displace your normal play? How does it, displace, just your own imagination of things, and how's that, work compared to more traditional toys? And I gotta say, it's actually got some interesting angles on this one that I think, would be worth seeing. Um, so, yeah, so, here's the toys dealing with it, and it's like, "Oh, now look here, me and the toys been working all summer to do blah, blah, blah," and then it's just, "Oh, you wanna hear it in Spanish?" And again, it does all the things the toys do, but more, and that's why, of course, it's completely captivating to the little girl. Um, I actually think this could be really interesting. And honestly, I almost kind of want to borrow somebody's kids to have an excuse to watch it. If not, I'll probably wait till this one shows up on, some kind of, streaming service I've got. But yeah, this is one that I think I would definitely check out. It seems like more than just a cash grab. With that said, on the other hand, it is absolutely going to be the cash grab of the summer, if not the year. They are estimating on this one. Let's see. I had the stats on this one. They're expecting $150 million opening. So, for comparison purposes, Masters of the Universe was expecting a $35 million opening. So, tech is the enemy in this one. This thing is going to make freaking bank. It's going to make buckets and buckets of money, and of course, all the licensing and all the other things that go along with modern movies will be in there as well. So yeah, expect interesting things on this one, unless the trailer is completely deceptive on that one. I expect that one to be the one that everyone is seeing, which is bad luck for Supergirl, because even though, again, it doesn't on its face look like an absolutely tragic movie. It's like sort of thing where like, yeah, I could see it maybe, I don't know. But between the bad vibes they're going around with the whole thing, and the fact that Toy Story is going to be on every freaking screen in every Cineplex in the world at that point, I think Supergirl's going to have just a really rough summer of it, is my personal guess. But let's end on a happier note on this one, and let's kick forward to the next thing. And this one just dropped. You can watch this one now if you have Amazon Prime. Whoops, let me wake up my computer here because I just started pulling the screensaver up. And this is Spider Noir. What the heck is a Spider Noir, you ask yourself? It is Nicolas Cage doing Spider-Man-y type things, sort of, except it's more like, if you guys think of the Sandman, or even just like an old noir Sam Spade type of thing. This thing looks like just a hell of a lot of fun. If you guys saw Into the Spider-Verse, it was just tremendous fun. Seeing that character even just for a couple minutes on screen. But they're presenting this one. You can watch it now on Amazon in either was it true? It was either in authentic black and white or in true color. It's like, yeah, they really want to kind of have their colorization to eat it too on this one. But looks looks like just a hell of a lot of fun. I guess the episodes just dropped just a day or two ago, and I'm looking forward to checking this out. So it's going to be one of these weekly episodic things, and it just looks like a good time. It's, I believe, number 1 or 2 in the country as far as a streaming service. Camp says watching in black and white now, then color. Sweet. Oh, and he says it is awesome. Excellent. D.A. Libby says, already have my Toy Story 5 tickets for 6/23 Tuesday is the cheap movie day over at Cinemark. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as far as Asian Camp, Toy Story 2, Toy Story 1, obviously, absolutely groundbreaking film. Toy Story 2, fine too. I mean, honestly, I just Toy Story 3 and 4, you're dealing with more adult themes of loss, and it keeps it from being just a good time romp with the kids, in terms of just a night out, and just by the time you did 4 and you dealt with all those sorts of things, yeah, I was happy to let the property go at that point. I mean, again, no hard feelings, a lot of warm memories on the whole thing, but yeah, again, I gotta say, yeah, I'm personally looking forward to seeing number 5. It's not like I'm going to drop everything and do it right now type of thing, but I'm kind of like I say, I'm revisiting my opinion on that one in terms of like, is it just the cash grab, or is there something redeeming there? Because it does kind of feel like a bit of a more return to form for Pixar in terms of that. And let's face it, they need a return to form. They've had a couple of rough movies, which is something you never said about a Pixar film. All right. Anyway, that is the thing that I would suggest. There's a streaming pick on Amazon right now. If you have Prime, go and check it out. I think you're going to dig it. And like I say, costs you nothing if you already have Prime. And while you're there, I'm going to give my highest possible recommendation to Clarkson's Farm, which is Jeremy Clarkson from Top Gear, of all people, went and for quite valid tax reasons, actually, decided to go in run a family farm in England. And it's honestly, it's a absolutely freaking fascinating show of a guy who is kind of like a lovable doof, actually trying in his lovable doof way, but really trying to make a go of farming life, obviously with a lot of help from people who actually know what the hell they're doing. But it's a really interesting way of kind of getting the ins and outs of like, well, what's farming actually like, and seeing it done like that, and also what's it like dealing with the government and the town councils and things like that. And it is a great freaking show. And season 5 just dropped. The episode number 1 is just now available for that one. But I'm going to say all the seasons of Clarkson's Farms are a must watch. I'm looking forward to Spider Noir. I'll watch Nick Cage, do dang near anything. But yeah, this looks like a good time. So hope you guys have some fun. And Asian Camp says, yeah, they made sure to bring back Tim Allen back this time. Oh, nice. Good to know. All right. And so a couple of questions I want to get to before we pack it in for the day. I got when I was talking about the Where Does It Go broadcast last time, I did not get a chance to talk about blind bags. That's not quite true. I had a chance. It's just I got so distracted talking about everything else, I didn't talk about it. So let's talk about whether exhibiting our 616 Earth's Mightiest Day Doom. So this is a blind bag that we had. This was the Doom Quest #1 blind bag. And if I put on my glasses here, it says, yes, this Marvel mystery bag contains a Doom foil mask along with an exclusive copy of Doom Quest #1 Black and White Edition, a variant by Brian Hitch, or possibly, you could get lucky, the ultra rare artist sketch cover plus one of the following. And it's a bunch of facsimile editions of different issues of things. Now, if you actually pay the $8 or whatever it costs to get this, and you open it up, and by the way, this is the one time I will ever tell you, if you're in this market, save the bag. It turns out it's important. All right, so what you actually get for your money is, yes, Alex Ross cover, Doom Quest #1. I'm treating this not as well as I should. Okay, there we are, Doom Quest #1. Fine cover. Yes, there is a, Dr. Doom mask. Yeah, that works. Yeah, I look exactly like him. I dreamed when I was like about 6 years old of having Dr. Doom armor, because basically Dr. Doom is just, it's being a knight in armor. I dreamed of having that, and yes, if I were 6, I would probably be clanking around in this right now. You've got a advertising flyer, and you've got a copy of a comic book from the 1980s which featured Dr. Doom, and that's what you got. Now, the whole deal with blind bags is this, though, and this is why, the one time they always say when you have bagged or polybag things like that, the bag itself is not relevant to the story. Blind bags, on the other hand, the bag is incredibly relevant to the story, because unlike a polybag thing, like if I just had a bunch of trading cards in this, or a poster, or all the other things they used to bag up, the whole point of the blind bag is that you can't see through this damn thing, so you don't know what you've got till you open it. And the second you open it, it's not a blind bag anymore. It's a bag that's formally blind, which contains some stuff, right? And this, it raises interesting questions. So if I was going to sell this back to someone, I'm going to say, all things considered, they probably expect the bag. So I'm going to say, if you're going to get involved in the blind bag business, in order to keep your customers happy, if you're ever thinking of selling them, I'm going to suggest, yeah, hang on to the bag, because my guess is your customer will be a little peeved off if they order that from you and don't see the bag. Also, if they're buying, essentially, if they're buying this thing from you, right, the thing with the barcode on the back, the blind bag, make sure all the stuff that was in here originally gets back in the bag, sealed up, and to your customer. That's what they expect. That is the blind bag. I think we put that as Doom Quest 1 collector's set, is how we list that in ComicBase. Now, that being said, what if you don't? And that's where we raise interesting questions about this one. So first of all, the unopened bag. So the unopened bag is the collector's set. Now the bag, if it is opened, you probably ought to say it's been opened, because you're not selling them a mystery bag. There is 0% chance, if you sell them the blind bag, and if you've opened it, there's 0% chance that it has anything other than the generic one, right? So if you actually had the ultra rare artist premium $1,000 cover one in there, you're not sticking back that in that thing and selling it back to them as a blind bag. That, not intentionally. No one in their right mind would ever do that. So yeah, that's got to be a thing. So the blind bag itself, closed, is one variant of this thing. The blind bag, if opened, I think you better list that in your notes. It's and at that point, probably what you ought to be doing is selling it either opened, marking it with everything in there, or do what other people will do, which is say, well, here's one comic, here's another comic, and then that leaves you with the problem of, well, what do I do with the mask? Because it's kind of collectible, but it's also not really something you would typically sell. So yeah, make your own choices about how you feel like selling the whole thing, but whatever you do, be straight with the buyer about what you're doing about it. Now, there are different flavors of things that might have come out of this blind bag, but for me, did not. In which case, those are all the different variants, all those things that they say on the back. It might have contained one of the following. All those things presumably exist in someone's blind bags. At which point, yeah, go ahead and list them as, yes, this was variant X or whatever else, which was from the the blind bag, etc. And yeah, at that point, you're probably selling it separately. In which case, list it as its own, and that's a thing. Let's see here. Agent Camp says, yes, when you sell blind bags on live shows, which I guess live shows, it's kind of weird, but yes, I guess it's exciting watching someone sell things live and do stuff like that. As you can choose to rip it or ship it. If you rip it, they don't send the bag, which I guess you've just told them what to do. So you can't complain about that. But if they say ship it, at that point, what you're doing is you're buying really 99.9% chance the generic-y version of it with a 0.1% chance, or whatever the actual odds are, of getting the one that everyone's hoping for. You're buying a lottery ticket. That is certainly part of what you're doing, and the sealed nature of the bag is actually important at this part. Whereas if this was a typical poly bag type of thing where you actually can see the contents of the whole thing, the fact that it's sealed is irrelevant. And so at that point, get the things out of there and deal with that. One thing also helps on these ones, I believe this is Mylar or some kind of, it looks like the same kind of material you'd see in a balloon on the inside. So in theory, it's inert. So at least it's not going to decay and make your comics go acid at the end of the day. So let's hope for that one. But anyway, that is the question about blind bags. Oh, and hey, while we're on the subject of variants, Batman number 81. I'm sorry, Absolute Batman number 21 is coming out with 81 variants so far. It releases June 17th. So yeah, June's going to be lit. It's the first appearance of Absolute Two-Face and Absolute Penguin. And I guess Absolute Batman is, going to have a fight with Absolute Joker. There's a lot of Absolute stuff going on. And 81 covers so far. And this does not rule out later what's not, what not covers and special convention covers and all the other things. I expect there will be more, but we've been putting those in. You should see a bunch of the covers in the update that just pushed the week. So yeah, that's the thing that happened in the comic industry, and we'll take it from there. Okay, top of the hour here, so we're going to push on. And issue 20 has 115 variants. I heard. Yeah, sure, why not? There isn't actually an upper limit on variants. You don't need to stop shipping when the comic ships. You can ship them for years after if you like. So. And you'll do it until the comic shop that buys them goes broke. Is kind of the risk on this one, because if you got to buy 1,000 copies of the thing or 2,000 copies, whatever you got to do in order to get the one store variant, well, God help you. I sure hope you manage to sell the 1,000, 2,000 copies you bought, because if not, that's a hell of a lot of money to tie up in terms of your average store cash flow. And they're not just doing it with one book now; they're doing lots of people doing it with lots of books. And so, if you choose to gamble that way, I pray the customers come to your store. I hope they come away happy and they don't leave you with boxes upon boxes upon boxes of unsold stuff. The overall history of store variants and limited variants on these ones on like the 10-year time frame, because they've been doing them for a while here. They go back to the early 2000s when they first started doing this kind of thing. It's not exactly the sort of thing you'd want to invest the kids' college funds in. They're interesting. Usually, if you sit there and say, I have to have this cover that there were only 200 made of, and it must be that cover, no other cover will suffice, not any of the other 114 covers. No, it must be that cover. Yeah, you'll wind up, when you find the guy who's got that cover, you'll wind up paying him whatever his asking price is for it, 15, 20, 35, 50, whatever the hell he wants, just because you had to have it and he happened to have one. That's all it comes down to. The real question, though, is, let's say you're the guy who has one. Can you count on finding the guy who had to have it? And that's where it all falls apart. Is because even though the price may not actually fall at that point, it really just becomes a thing of if there's 115 variants of the same comic, how many people are going to get obsessed about that particular cover? And the answer is, especially after the fact, not that many. I mean, I think if it came your way somehow, you'd look it up and say, oh, that's a 1 in 50 cover there, 1 in 500 cover. That's really valuable. That's great. I will do something with that. But how many people are really going to go out after the initial, feeding frenzy to get that? I don't know, man. To me, it's something that I've never wanted to risk a lot of money on doing. So I don't own a lot of those sorts of things. But maybe you have a sort of experience. By all means, put it in the chat. So anyway, let's see what's going on. As we wrap it up here, announcements, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe on this one, especially the new chat. And if you're watching post live stream, please leave comments. Okay, and if you find this one post live stream, please leave comments, because that was hilarious. The ComicBase message boards are at forums.comicbase.com. And we do have a dedicated thread on the boards, so you can request live stream topics, demos, etc. Don't forget Atomic Avenue, your place to find all sorts of crazy things, including in about another couple hours, my personal copy here of Doom Quest #1 collector set. You'll probably be like, yeah, I saw you mishandled on the stream, man. That's very fine at best. In which case, okay, fair enough. But anyway, do check that out. AtomicAvenue.com. It's a fantastic place for both buying and selling your comics. And also a thought for the day: don't piss off the YouTube bots. All right, with that, I think we will say goodbye. Thank you everyone for coming, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a terrific week and go watch some movies.